Welcome back to another episode of my leadership series. This is episode 6, and we have an intriguing topic for you today. Firefighting techniques evolve. So, how should leaders stay abreast of changes and ensure their strategies are always up to date? Just as firefighting methods have evolved over the years, so too must our approach to leadership. In this episode, we'll explore how leaders in the firefighting community and even in business settings can keep their teams well equipped and prepared for ever-changing challenges they face. Whether it's new technologies, advanced training methods, or even a shift in team dynamics, a good leader needs to be one step ahead. When I think about growing any business or organization, I think there are 3 things that are important: continuous learning, adapting technology, and methods and improving communication on collaboration. These are essential to keeping up to date so that you can face any new challenges that appear. Let's look a little deeper into each one of them. The importance of continuous learning and training. It's a necessity for leaders to stay updated with the latest techniques, technologies, and strategies. It's not just beneficial for personal growth, but it's essential for the safety and effectiveness of your team. Learning never stops. Every day, there's something new to learn. And that always goes on right through your life. You need to keep reading, keep watching, and keep learning. There's lots of new content online that you can learn from, as well as a range of new books and ideas coming out all the time if you're looking for them. You can also take up a course to add to your skill set. There's lots of courses available to help you improve your leadership. Or just simply try to do better, work out harder, all those sorts of things. Remember that training saves lives. We train until we can't make mistakes. Looking to get proficient to the level where you don't need to think is something that we should always be aiming for. On the fireground, we look at it being able to do things automatically, start a pump without thinking, roll up a hose without thinking, just things that we need to be able to do so that our brain is free to concentrate on the other things that are going on around us. A well-trained team is fluid and able to adapt quickly. Training is super important to build that fluidity. The volunteers I work with come from all walks of life. They bring a whole range of skills outside the normal range of someone considered to be just a firefighter. And that's one of the beautiful things about working with the volunteer firefighters is we have people from so many different backgrounds, from surgeons to tradesmen, to retail assistants. It doesn't matter. They bring all this different knowledge, all these different systems into the way that we approach things. And that allows us to bring multiple ways of looking at things. When it comes to solving problems, it's really good. A good leader needs to keep learning. You need to be doing things like running training sessions, not just leaving that to everyone else. When you run a training session, you learn a lot yourself because you see where you've skipped steps, you see where you should add steps in that you just automatically do and don't see them as steps anymore. Volunteer as part of a new team or a project. One of the most important things I feel is that firefighters, whether they're in ranks or not, should actually get out on the fireground on a truck and get back to basics. Sign up for a course. Simple, isn't it? Sign up for a course, learn something new, and get involved. Just because you're the person running a business or you're higher up in management doesn't mean you shouldn't be getting out on the tools. In my case, it means deploying as part of a fire team. It doesn't mean sitting in IC and controlling things all the time. That's part of what I might do. But also, I need to be out on the fireground. I need to remember what it's like, and I need to make those connections with my team. Number 2 is adapting to new technologies and methods. Leaders need to integrate new tools or approaches into their current systems. And there's lots of challenges with change management, both in firefighting and business settings, that we must overcome. And technology can help us achieve this. So why does tech matter? Tech gives us more information a lot of the time. That information allows us to make better decisions. And also, when you're bringing in tech, it can supplement your personal skills because the technology might allow you to do things easier or faster or more effectively. One of the other things I really like about technology, certainly from my perspective, whether it be in the business world or firefighting, is that it allows me to share information more carefully or more effectively, I should say. It means I can do up a map and send it to someone, or I can take a photo and shoot it through to someone. Technology allows me to do that. In the case of a fireground, we use a tool called FireMap, which allows us to draw fire maps, make notes on them, and see things. But we also have a tool which is online called MSO. And MSO actually shows us what's going on the fireground. We can see the trucks, where they are, because they've got digital tracking and all those things. Between the two tools, I can actually run two windows, basically, and I can see where the trucks are, and then I can see my fire mapper, and I can add different information back and forth between those tools. And from my head's perspective, it allows me to make better decisions. You need to be keeping up with the times. New tools always allow you to make better decisions. As they get better, they also bring more information more quickly. Obviously, being internet connected is really powerful from a business perspective because you can have someone input information on the other side of the world and you can access it straight away. So it's very useful from a business perspective of making decisions in your business. But be careful what tools you choose because some ideas aren't even tested or even proven. I've seen many cases in my life, especially in the education field, where new frameworks come out, new ways of teaching came out, and they'd failed in other countries, but they've been brought into Australia and sold here as the newest, greatest thing. And it's horrifying when I look back at some of those instances of curriculum and what damage it actually did to our education system. Make sure when you're looking at tools, when you're looking at new ideas to bring into your business, that you actually make sure that they're proven and that it's quality proof, or take them with a grain of salt. Maybe apply them, see what the results are, but don't just implement holus bolus, a new idea, before testing it in a small situation. Probably one of the most important things that we don't do enough of is training on new tech. This is super important. Things are so busy in business that we get a new piece of software in and we assume everybody will learn it on the go. And that's not enough. We need to set aside new time to bring the new tech in so that people have time to play with it, to learn it, to break it, to see where it doesn't fit the mission and where it will help you achieve your mission. You need to do practical exercises. So don't just say, oh, let's look at this tool. Do it in a real world situation. We need to create a map. So let's use this GIS tool, whatever it happens to be in your world, but actually take a practical scenario and apply that. As a leader, it's all very well to bring new tools in, but you need to make sure that they work well for your team. Build it into routines. And this is important. Bring a new tool in. Often it's like on top of everything else you're already using. It needs to be built into a routine as part of the process. For example, with FireMapper on the fireground, we encourage our firefighters to grab the tablet out of the truck and go and map the fire when they first get there so we know how big the fire is. Now, obviously, if it's a big fire, that's more difficult to do. But if we just arrived at a fire and it's just small, we can map it out and we can see that we've got a couple of hectares on fire. And we can mark in roads and we can switch between different modes so we can see like a Google Earth view or just a plain road view to get more information. But by building it into the routine of what we do when we arrive at a fire, it becomes a normal part of our daily processes. And as a leader, it's really important that you're doing this with your team. Routines enable people to integrate things more easily because it's just another step that's been added in. Remember that everybody is at different levels, so take time to follow up and ensure that they get it. It's all very well to say, here's a new piece of technology. Some people on your team are going to take to it straight away. Some people on your team are going to fight against it. They're going to need encouragement. They're going to need to be shown that it's actually worthwhile and it's going to make your business better and make their life easier. Because if you bring in a piece of technology that doesn't make people's lives easier, it actually makes it harder. It's going to be much harder to get it accepted. And in some cases, it will just get put on the shelf and not used again. Number 3, communication and collaboration. The role of open communication is essential in staying current. Sharing knowledge and learning from others in the field can aid you as a leader in keeping your strategies up to date. Let's look at the need for ongoing communication. You need to take time to sit around and just chat with people. It's important as a leader you chat with your team and get to know them, get to know what they're doing and find out where the problems are, because that's where you'll find your growth and that's where you'll find your problems that need fixing, which will enable your business to grow faster and make you a better leader. Set up scenarios and discuss how you might solve those scenarios. Now, understand time is precious, but what you learn from these things is more precious than just grinding away at the wheel. It's that old story. Sometimes you want to chop down a tree, you need to take time to sharpen the axe before you start, or it'll take you much longer. Allow everyone a chance to talk in order around the room so you're getting feedback from everyone. And let people know that they can call you direct if they do have an issue or they do want to talk about something. Again, there might be information they don't want to share in front of a whole group because it might embarrass someone, but they feel it's important that from the perspective of being the leader in the business, that this is an issue or this person's really great. And in fact, they could take on a lot more, whatever it happens to be. Don't force people to work through the chain of command if it's important or too personal. Chain of command's there to help keep things moving, but sometimes it's important for people to be able to come direct to you as the leader. It's not always the best way, but there is times when it's important, and they need to know that if it's that bad, it's okay for them to come to you. Open communication helps everyone better understand each other. It's really simple. By communicating together, the team becomes better. You become a stronger unit because you understand what other people are thinking, what other people are feeling, and what you're doing that is probably annoying. You need to create opportunities to debrief. Debriefing after an incident or a project prevents PTSD in a case of firefighters. It doesn't stop PTSD, but it helps prevent it because we talk about things rather than keeping them bottled up. In a business, that can make the difference between finding, solving, and fixing issues or not, which means that when you go into projects next time, people don't see the same thing happening over and over again. It also allows praise and discussion around issues. It builds a better team who obviously learn from each other because debriefing allows learning. And if something worked better, maybe it can become standard practice in your business. And as a leader, that's really important that you actually implement positive change that helps the team achieve more. You also need to measure your progress. Now, this is not always easy in a business. We have KPIs and things like that, but they're not always the important things. Yes, the numbers are important overall, but they might not be the most important thing as far as the whole business goes. Sometimes attitudes and all those sorts of things are far more important. The growth will come if the attitude is correct and everyone's happy and working together. Make sure you stop and assess. Take some notes as you go so that you can refer back to them later. Meet with your team leaders and have a chat with them and find out how things are going. In our case, we map things. That's one of the ways we measure progress. Now, you might map it in a different way, say a flow chart or a spreadsheet or something like that. But in the end, it's mapping in a sense of words. Remember what your mission is. The mission of the business is super important, or the mission for that particular project is super important. Have you set one? Because if you haven't set one, how can you achieve it? And lastly, I've mentioned it before, a little SMEAX is a really useful tool to help you measure progress because you can see based on the mission and the time frame whether you've achieved what you've set out to do. In today's episode, I've walked you through some of the essential areas that I believe every leader should focus on to stay up to date in both firefighting and business settings. Firstly, we talked about the critical need for continuous learning and training. I can't stress enough that it's not just a personal growth goal, it's an absolute must for the safety and efficiency of the teams that we lead. Then I touched on the challenges and opportunities integrating new technologies and methods. And from my experience, keeping abreast of new tools isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for making informed and timely decisions. And lastly, I highlighted the importance of open communication and collaboration. Based on what I've seen, fostering an environment where everyone feels comfortable speaking up can make the world of difference in team dynamics and overall performance. So as you step out into your role, whether you're battling a blaze or navigating a business challenge, remember that your leadership approach should never be set in stone. It should be as dynamic and as adaptable to the situations you find yourself in. As I wrap up this episode, I want to thank you for joining me on this leadership journey. If you found value in today's discussion, please hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. Remember, whether you're in firefighting or business, true leaders run towards the flames, not away from them. Embrace challenges as opportunities to grow, and let's continue to learn and adapt together. See you in the next episode, and until then, keep running towards the flames.